Yep. Can we stand for the president? Oh, no, do we need to do those first? Or? Okay. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Swab, Mrs. Brewer,
Here.
Mr. Biesecker,
Here.
Mr. Manuel,
Here.
Mrs. Hill.
Here.
I would like to welcome everyone here this evening. Dr. Swab was unavailable, so I'm going to try to hold down the fort this evening. I first want to start off by saying today represents the first regular meeting of the Bradford Board of Exempted Village School District Board of Education without Pastor Louie. As a result of his vacancy, the Board of Education has interviewed interested candidates from the community, and after consultation with the Ohio School Boards Association and the Bradford Exempted Village School District Legal Counsel, Ms. Holly Hill was appointed at the March 13th, 2023 special board meeting. The oath of office was administrated on Monday, March 20th. Congratulations to Ms. Hill and welcome to the Board of Education. Our next item is the review of the agenda and approval of the minutes. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda as printed?
I have one correction. Under new business, the very last personnel piece for a softball reserve assistant coach, we're going to say that's a volunteer to start with. And if we have numbers, we'll make that into a paid position. So on page 7, the last number 1 motion, Bailey Weissong will be volunteer unless we need to switch that to paid later. Outside of that, that's the only thing.
Anything else? And the approval of the agenda. And can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second roll call?
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
Our next item is item C, to approve the minutes from the special meeting of March 13th, February 15th, and February 7th. Have a motion for that?
So moved.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
And next we have our student spotlight. Mr. Daugherty?
It's nice to see students back in the building and able to do this in person. So I'm going to have the teachers come up and read their things. So our first student spotlight is Evelyn Biddlestone, who is made by Mrs. Irwin.
Evelyn is 8 years old and lives at home with her mom, dad, 2 sisters, brother, and a whole lot of animals. Evelyn enjoys watching movies, eating powdered donuts, and cleaning her room. Just kidding. At school, Evelyn has found a new love for writing. She has been working diligently to finish a comic that her class is publishing. At school, Evelyn is an extremely hard worker. She is always committed to trying and doing her absolute best. She is an excellent role model for other classmates and always tackles new challenges with a positive attitude. Evelyn's caring and friendly character doesn't stop in the classroom. During her conference, her parents stated that they've only ever seen Evelyn mad once, and that was when her dad stole her powdered donuts. Above all, Evelyn can always be counted on to lend a helping hand to both staff and students. With a home filled with animals, it comes by no surprise that Evelyn hopes to one day become a vet. If Evelyn could change anything in this world, it'd be to have certain things for free. Like a certain breed of dog that she hopes to one day own. I'm eager to see what great things Evelyn will accomplish in this final quarter of 2nd grade. Keep smiling, Evelyn, because we need more of you in this world. Great job, Evelyn. I'm crying.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, oh.
Oh, you
I
got
want to get a picture of you.
Sorry.
Back.
And our next elementary student spotlight is Marley Phillips, who is nominated by Mrs. Victoria Schmidt. Since we got two Mrs. Schmidt, we got to specify that. So, Mr. Schmidt.
Marley is 8 years old and lives at home with her mom, dad, and uncle. She has 3 dogs named Bella, Buddy, and Toga. Marley wants to be a singer when she grows up. Her favorite color is pink and she loves to play with her dogs. Her favorite thing to do at school is writing. She likes writing because it is fun. Marley is an outstanding student to have in the classroom. She is kind, considerate, hardworking, and all around a wonderful person. Marley is a hard worker in class and will always help other people or ask questions when she is unsure of something. She always puts others first and makes sure she is there to help if there's a problem. Marley will help cheer someone up if they are sad and always make sure everyone is following the rules. Marley is very responsible in the classroom and has her work out ready to go when she is asked to. Great job, Marley, and congratulations.
And now for our junior high and high school. Unfortunately, our junior high and high school nominees couldn't be here. But our spotlight is Katie Cameron, who is nominated by Mr. Park. And this is what he had to say about Katie. Katie came to Bradford this year, but since the beginning of the year, she has impressed me every single day. She walks in every day with a smile on her face and a bright disposition, which helps make the classroom a healthier and brighter place. Her desire to succeed and the extra mile she goes to learn and understand is something that I truly value. I can tell her desire to succeed and be her best rubs off on those around her. She is never afraid to come to me with concerns or questions. She wants to understand and make sure that she is on the right track, and it really shows me her desire to not only get the correct answer, but to learn. Often students only care about getting the right answer, but she seeks to understand to find the right answer on their own. She gives her all to any assignment I give. It doesn't matter if it's a project, test, notes, or worksheets. All in all, Katie's a phenomenal student and an equally amazing person. I know her work ethic and personality. She will do great things in life. Great job, Katie, and congratulations. And our last student spotlight member is Damian Long, who is nominated by Mrs. Yingst. I'm nominating Damian Long as Bradford's Board of Education Student Spotlight. Can always count on Damian to provide a good morning every morning with a smile on his face. He is helpful in the classroom and ensures that all of his classmates have all the supplies that are needed for class. Damian is willing to put others first and has become a leader in my math and language arts classes. He is willing to help classmates complete work and assist them when they are struggling. I can rely on Damian to help out in the classroom and run errands when needed. So those are junior high and high school ones.
We would like to
Sorry,
congratulate.
I missed the part. It's over on the last page. So Mrs. Jinks also had to say that Damian has also showed tremendous growth academically. This is her second year of having Damian in her classes, and every day he works harder than he did the day before. He never complains about the complexity of the assignments and comes in each day ready to learn. Great job, Damian.
We'd like to congratulate all of you and keep up the good work. You guys are free to leave at this time, but you're more than welcome to stay with us for the remainder of the meeting, but now's your chance to escape if you would like to. And I think Miss Levy's going to try to get pictures in the hallway if you want.
That's okay.
Congratulations, girls. And families.
You want me to go to, yeah. Chris, start with you.
That's all right.
Yep. And our next item on the agenda is the administrative reports, and we're going to start with Mr. Barr while Miss Levy plays photographer in the hallway.
That's the first one, right? Okay.
There you go.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about our testing schedule. We have state testing coming up, and we're going to try something a little different this year. Some things that I've seen success with in past districts that I've been in, that really help our students get into that testing mindset. So we are going to operate on a 2-hour delay schedule in schedule only. Buses will still run on time, won't affect the elementary school in any way. And what this will do is, in the past, the district has always provided, there's 2 sections for each test. So there's a part 1 and a part 2. In the past, we have given both parts, or Bradford has given both parts on one day. That's a long day of testing for kids, and by the afternoon, they're spent. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel after a long day, but you know, that it wears them out. And then to come back and have to do it again the next day. So we're going to try to break it up, or we are going to break it up into only taking one section during that 2-hour delay period from 8:10 to 10:10 in the morning. So if you look, this is kind of just a rough draft. Wendy Ray and I have been working on this for a couple months now. So these are the actual areas that we are going to be testing each day and on the days that we will be doing it. And then it also allows us to do interventions for our students that won't be testing. So these students will still be required to be here and receive interventions at that time. What happens is there will be one grade level, just because we don't have enough teachers to be able to provide interventions for all of the different subsets on each day. There will be one grade level that of the tested area that will not get intervention on a few of those days, but they will still be required to be here. We're going to house these students, these 35 to 40 students, in either the cafeteria if they have missing work or need help with anything, or maybe to do enrichment activities, or they'll be able to go to the gym and just kind of hang out and play some games and everything, but still required to be here. So this is just our first week. I didn't put the entire thing out there. Wednesday will be a straight 8-period day, so we will not have anything. It'll be a nice break in between for the kids and the teachers. Now, by doing this, it creates a lot of different benefits. We're going to create a little more friendly environment for all of the students. These doors down here will be shut during the 8:10 to 10:10 time when students are in the building. In previous years, we've still run the bell system, and the kids are in the middle of testing. Kids are going from class to class, and if a teacher is testing, they just go somewhere else. So by doing it this way, everybody will be accounted for. There won't be a bell system. They won't be interrupted at any point in time during that testing period, along with the intervention as well. They're only going to test one time a day. Like I said earlier, this is a much more conducive that we're only asking you to do. I mean, most tests are at least 90 minutes. The ELA test is a little bit longer because of the reading, but for 90 minutes, we will have their full attention. It pushes testing back. We won't have to test. The testing window actually opens in a week and a half or so. We won't have to test because of doing it this way until after spring break, actually a week after spring break. This allows our teachers to get the most amount of time actually teaching what the students need in order to be successful, and run some interventions up to that point as well in their own typical classrooms. The other thing is the teachers are going to be able to see their students each and every day. Even if with the 2-hour delay schedule, they're going to see their students for 30, 35 minutes. Whereas in the past, they might not see them for a couple days or 3 days or whatever it may be, depending on how many students need to be tested and if that teacher has to test. So it allows our teachers to see their kids every single day and still make an academic impact with them. The other thing that it does, and I throw this one in here because I was an intervention specialist, and if you know anything about, when you're teaching students that have IEPs and 504s and things of that nature, they get extended time. Well, when you give 2 tests in one day, you are testing all day long. So you don't even get to see your kids. You can't progress monitor on these students, which by law we have to do. You can't, just by not seeing them, they lose out on a lot of different academic time and working on their goals and objectives for their IEP. So they'll only be testing for half the day, like everybody else, and still be able to see their kids on any given day. It also gives us more people to help break our groups down into smaller groups for these students. So instead of a small group being 8 or 9, 10 kids, a small group can be 4 or 5. I said earlier, the hallways for the testing and the intervention will be locked down, so we're gonna turn the bell system off, so they won't hear anything. It'll just be them concentrating on their test and doing what they're asked to do. I said earlier, they're gonna be housed in the students that will be required to come in. We're gonna be in the cafeteria and gymnasium, working on the any makeup work or reinforcement, things of that nature, and then Wednesday is the typical day. So that's kind of the plan with this schedule. I really think that it's gonna be beneficial for our students and our teachers and for everybody collectively in order to make the best out of our time during this test time. Because one of the biggest things with testing is they started in March and the end of the school year is not until May. So you're asking teachers to get a whole year of curriculum in a lot less time. Well, by doing it this way, we're going to be able to push it back so that our teachers have the most amount of time in order to make an impact with our kids. The last thing I just kind of want to touch base on, about a month and a half ago, we started the Rotor Cafe here in the building, where our life skills class is opened up a coffee bar. And it has been a huge success. I think more so than myself or Cindy and Sarah Timmerman ever thought would happen, but they're serving coffee 3 days a week to our students first period. They take orders in the morning, they do it out of the Hickory room. It's gone over very, very well. We were gracious enough to work with Carla and Joe and, borrow some money in order to get started. And what we thought it would take the rest of the school year to pay off, we have actually almost paid it off already, and then we'll be able to, earn some money for that life skills class, and then a portion of it will go into the principal's account so that I can do some incentive-based things with the students. This has been great. The kids just absolutely love it. The smiles on their faces, and I mean, they are being put to work for about an hour a day. And the skills that they are learning during this time are insurmountable. I mean, they are learning things that, they will be able to take with them throughout the rest of their life. And one of the biggest ones is just working as a team in that type of work environment, and following directions and, not being the boss. We have one that likes to be the boss and doesn't need to be the boss. So, being able to step back and work in that team environment has been good for him and for all of the kids. So they do get, incentivized a little bit. They get a free coffee or hot chocolate at the end of each week for doing what they're supposed to be doing. But our students have really loved it. Our teachers, and especially the board office staff. I mean, Carla is like the biggest supporter. It has been a huge success. And I couldn't be prouder of the kids and the teachers and, how we were able to get this all kind of come together. This is something that I wanted to start earlier in the year, but just because of, it's kind of hard this was a lot harder to start than I ever kind of thought it would be. But we finally got it going, and it's going in the right direction. So we're really happy about, that and, how all of the kids feel about it. So. Upcoming events, I'll do this before Michelle goes here. We did start the fourth 9 weeks on Monday, which is kind of crazy to think that we are 3/4 of the way done with school, and really the fourth 9 weeks flies by. We have the junior high dance on Friday, and then the father-daughter dance is on Saturday. Athletic Boosters meets next Wednesday, PTO the following Wednesday, and then we have spring break, which I know our kids have already been talking about quite a bit. Blood drive is that Thursday, Bob? That Thursday that we have, it'll be the first day without students in the building. And we start middle school state testing on the 17th of April. And then, that should be an 18, not the 8th, sorry. That's my bad, Michelle. I didn't proofread very well. But they start the very next day. And then the next board meeting is on the 18th. Any questions about the testing schedule, anything like that?
I do think that will help, only taking one test a day.
Yes.
And then, because by the end, you're just wanting to fill in the
Oh, yeah,
dots and
absolutely.
I'm
By the
done
end
with
of the day,
this.
you're
and-
just
Yeah,
CCC.
so I
the
think
whole
that
way.
will be really nice. I'm anxious to see if it makes a difference.
We are also going to monitor that testing during that time period a lot more than, I don't want to say the way they've done in the past, but we're going to kind of incentivize it a little bit where students will have like a criteria that they have to follow. You must be working on the test for X amount of time. You have to, do your pre-writing. You have to use scratch paper for your math and science problems that you have to do. And when doing so, you'll get points. And as your points kind of build up, we are going to have do a 2-hour early release day later in May after all of the testing and everything, and kind of have a movie day for the kids that did that. And I'm going to talk to the boosters about using the popcorn machine and making popcorn for all of the kids that were able to do that, and just kind of incentivize it a little more. The other thing that we're doing to kind of incentivize it, and I kind of did this on purpose, and I do have to thank Crystal Yanks for giving me the idea, but I talked to the PTO, and we are taking our students that passed a section of the test last year to McBo's in Versailles for bowling and pizza next Thursday and Friday. So the junior high are going on Thursday, high schoolers going on Friday. And I think students seeing those kids leave the building to go have fun and, for something that they had done well on the state test will really kind of get them in the mindset of, ooh, I wish I would have done a little bit better maybe, or tried a little harder. Because I think that's the biggest thing is that we're not trying. They don't see the value in it, and trying to change that mindset. I know our teachers are already talking about that in their classrooms already. So I want to thank the PTO real quick too for allowing us to do that. They've been awesome to work with in that regard. And the bowling alley at Versailles, he is 140 some kids going bowling there. Just logistically, that's not always easy. So that's what we have going on right now at the high school.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Levy?
I kind of want to piggyback kind of on what Chris was saying. Like you said, our testing starts on the 18th. We do one part per day and it's by grade level. So 5th grade will start first with the ELA, and then we'll go into 4th grade ELA on the 20th and 21st, then we go into 3rd grade. Right now, we're offering intervention time for the 3rd graders who have not passed a test yet. So up until the right before spring break, they're attending intervention time after school to try to get them caught up to where they need to be for the testing. Also, we are going to McBo's for the elementary students in April for the Century Club for the books that they read. Each grade level sets either an AR goal, which is a test they take for reading, or the younger grades actually read an amount of books with their parents to also get to go. And then the upper grades, like the 3 through 5, will get to go to Scene 75 if they reach their AR goal. So those are the exciting things. The PTO is also sponsoring those, and we greatly appreciate that, as well as the dances that are getting ready to take place. Both the junior high and the elementary dances that are up this weekend are sponsored by the PTO. We greatly appreciate everything that they do for our students. So thanks to the PTO. I just have a few more things to share. We did have Valentine's Day parties. This is just some of the things. It's hard to believe that's actually a box that a student made for Valentine's Day, as well as the camera that someone made. But there were a lot of neat boxes that boys and girls made for Valentine's Day parties. And then the month of February was Kindness Month, and every teacher had a shirt that said, "You ought to be kind." And we focused on being kind and doing kind acts. And when we did that, we made a chain of kindness. And so, as you can see here, the boys and girls started down here. We lined the hallway, and it went all the way down into the kindergarten wing in just 1 month and on each one of the links, it said something that either someone had done kind for them or something that they did kind for somebody else. And it was just a nice way to focus in on kindness. This month is enthusiasm, showing enthusiasm, all you do to show that you have a passion for life and something that means a lot to you. So we're trying to do a word a month, and like I said, last month was the word kindness. During the Kindness Spirit Week, they all got to dress up. This was be kind like an old person. I think, I don't remember if that's exactly what it was, but they all dressed up as it was 100th day as well. They dressed up in their old, they dressed up like old people. These are the kindergartners that dressed up. This one I thought was the cutest. You really can't tell, but she's got curlers in her hair. And then this was Crazy Hair Day. And then on this day, they were tie-dye, and then it was Hat Day. And it was just every time it was something to emphasize being kind to one another. Last week was Read Across America Week, which was Dr. Seuss's birthday. I think it's going to be 116, maybe, somewhere in there, if they would have lived to be 116, I don't know. But green eggs and ham, they ate those. On this day, it was Hat Day again, because we had another Spirit Week. These students were dressed up for success because they were getting pictures taken on top of just looking nice. Oh, gosh. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. And down here, each grade level had a color that they were supposed to wear, and this grade, which is the second grade, was green for that time. On that week also, I don't have a picture of Mr. Hurst, but he went into every classroom and read a Dr. Seuss book to each class with his Cat in the Hat on. How'd that go?
It was wonderful.
That's good. And then they're having a brackets tournament right now with books. So it's teachers pick their favorite books and it's up against each other, and the classrooms are then voting on which is their favorite, and it just continues until we get to the final two books. Went over my testing already, and like I said, I think everything else he went over or I went over. We do have one more thing on there that I did not get to mention, is that the April 4th, we're going to be doing a parent engagement night, which is called Be Your Own Star, and Galileo is going to be at our night, as well as some of the people from around the community. We have Stacy Lehman coming from the library, someone from the Park District to come and just discuss things that we have available in the community that they can do over the summer, promoting to get ready for the summertime. Also, we'll have a photo op booth. They'll make their own trail mix. We're going to borrow the telescope from the library where they can go and check it out and look at the stars, and a planetarium set up in one room to look at different constellations that are out there. We invite you to come out. It'll be at starting at 6:30. It'll only be an hour long, but it'll be in the elementary wing on April the 4th. And I think that's about it for now. I promise that next time I will share when Grandparents' Day is, so everybody can prepare for when we have Grandparents' Day in May. Any questions? And again, I apologize for my phone.
You're fine.
I do have one more thing to say before you go.
You're fine.
I have someone I'm recommending for a job, and I had her in kindergarten. I'm very excited that that we're recommending Brooke Fair for a 4th grade job here at Bradford. It's just neat to see the circle and the new blood coming into our district. So anyway, okay.
Lisa?
So just a few athletic events that are upcoming to get us through the rest of this month. Tonight, actually, baseball and softball are both on the road. Baseball was at Marion Local, and softball went over to Tecumseh. Tomorrow, baseball's got a scrimmage that we picked up, and they're going to Lehman. Softball will be at Bethel on Friday. And then Saturday is the official start, so we'll start games on Saturday. Baseball's here. We got a doubleheader with Northridge, and softball is going to Coldwater for a single game. And then track will have their first track meets next Thursday, I think it's the 30th, right? Yeah. Junior high track will be at Coldwater, and the high school track will open up at National Trail. And then softball at Miami East before we head into April, which is obviously jam-packed with baseball, softball, track events. We've had a busy month since the last meeting. We had boys basketball senior night. That was an exciting evening. We hosted Newton, always a big game, always a good game. And then senior night on top of it, we had a ton of people in the gym. It was really nice to recognize our 6 seniors. We had Parker Davidson, Landon Monin, and Dalton Skinner were our basketball guys. And then the cheerleaders, Bella Brewer, Tasia Felver, and Cheyenne Buchanan. We also had powerlifting senior day at their home full meet. We have Brick Burgett, and it's probably hard to see these, but Brick Burgett, Ben Kitts, Sarah Beckstead, Tasia Felver. Yep, I tried to go around there. And Remy Harleman, Shay Swick, and Rebecca Sowers. They were our 7 powerlifting seniors that we recognized. And then we actually, powerlifting went to Kenton the other day for the state championship, and we came home with 2 state champions, 2 individual state champions. Shaylee, was the state champion in the 115-pound group, and Garrett was the state champion in the 155-pound group for our division. And then the girls' team ended up being state runners-up. So this is the 3rd year in a row. The girls were back-to-back state champions and state runners-up this year. So we've had a lot of successful years with powerlifting. And then this is something that Mr. Hurst asked me to look into. It was brought up at a meeting a couple months ago, I believe. Streaming options. I know that was huge and brought up when COVID hit. Everybody wanted options for streaming because of the caps on our attendance. At the time, it was all brand new and there was so much going on, so many different options. We opted for streaming through our Facebook Live, which was actually very successful at the time. I had a couple great helpers that helped stream basketball games with an iPad and things like that. And it worked out really well for us at the time. Right now, most of you probably know if you watch any athletics, a lot of schools got the NFHS cameras at the time and they're still streaming through there. So that is probably the most popular option that was at the time that people are still using. But recently, Huddle, which is our streaming service for the coaches, which is what they use for breaking down film and all that kind of good stuff, they have come out with a streaming service using a camera that's similar to the Pixel Lock cameras, which is what NFHS uses, and similar in the sense that it follows the ball and it follows the gameplay. And this is something that as a conference, a lot of our schools are looking to transition to because they're a little more user-friendly. There's better options for us as a school, and it gives better options for the coaches and our athletes to use, whereas the other ones are basically just streaming and that's it. We're not getting a whole lot else out of them. And they are smart TV compatible. So just like with NFHS Network, you can pull it up on your TV and watch it through this Team One Sports app that you would just download on your TV or whatever option you have for your smart TVs. And you have the option to also go in and just pay for a single game to watch. So if you are sick at home or it's, really, really far away and you typically attend games in person, but you just can't make it to one, you have the option to just buy one game, as opposed to with NFHS, you're strapped in for like the entire month, I believe it is. It's just a little bit cheaper to pay for a single game. And then if we do stream the service that way, we would get 60% of the revenue back, as opposed to the 20% that we would get from NFHS Network. And then there's a package that they put together for us, which includes the indoor and the outdoor camera. So it would be indoor in the gym, obviously, and the outdoor would be out of the stadium. And that would also give us access to all the teams. So it would basically create an account for golf and for cross country and those. So if they wanted to take an iPad out and film a kid running or a kid swinging or whatever that may be, then they can go in and break that down as well, where right now that's not an option. And it's, like I said earlier, it's a tool for the players and the coaches, whereas the NFHS Network's Pixel Lock camera is strictly streaming for viewers. There's nothing benefiting our kids necessarily. And then the package that they said is including all of the extras. So you would get Huddle Sideline, which is for football to play back immediately on the field right then if they were to call timeout. Huddle Assist, which we do have for a couple programs right now, but this would give it to all of them, which is basically, here's your game film. It sends it to a person whose job alone is to break that down and pull stats for it, which is super, super awesome. But that would give it to all of our programs then. And there's something really cool that Huddle just came out with back around Christmas time. It's a college search program option in there where you can go in and let's just say I'm a basketball player that wants to go like a mid-range D2. I can sift through all of these. I say I want to go to a medium-sized school. This is my major. This is the sport I want to play. And this is the state I want to be in. And it'll filter down to just those colleges and then give you the automatic contact for those coaches. So it's something really, really awesome that the teams we have signed up on Huddle now can view it, but like the golfs can't, the cross countries can't because they're not included in what we have now. They're only included in the package option. I did include a video. I don't know if you want to play it. It's about a minute long, minute and 20 seconds long. I don't know how loud this is going to be, so I apologize. It is kind of an overview of it.
It's not very loud.
No, it's not, sorry.
Huddle focus. Multiple lenses. And AI player tracking. Get the perfect angle. With one-time installation. Just mount it, set it, forget it. Because your staff should be focused on coaching, not film. With full Huddle integration, video instantly uploads to your library. Add your schedule to automatically record games. Don't record on the fly. With overlay, you won't just see what happened, you'll see when it happened. Live streaming is made simple. Integrations that allow you to engage fans and the option to cash in on their views. Turn on, turn on. Nothing gets by the eye in the sky. Visit huddle.com/focus.
And it also, something that Huddle does that NFHS does not do, it allows you to pick and choose when you want to stream and how you want to stream. With NFHS, you're locked in and you have to do every single game their way. With only, I believe it's 20% revenue back to us. Whereas if I've got, for some reason, we didn't want to film a game, we didn't want to stream it, that's our choice. There's no punishment for that if we chose not to stream a game. And we can do it pretty much however we want. They do have minimums we charge on things, but we can also, change that as we want, whereas NFHS doesn't allow that either. It's what they say, and that's exactly how much. It is, I believe it is the better option for us because we're getting more out of it as opposed to with the NFHS Pixel cameras, it's basically just for the viewers, whereas this gives us something for our coaches and our athletes too. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that? Mr. Hurst and Cody sat in on a Zoom meeting with me and our Huddle representative this morning, so.
It seems like a really valuable piece. We're just weighing out ways to pay for it. Realistically, that's the big thing. I really did like this, especially compared to some of the other options out there. So I think it's doable. It's just not something I'm ready to dive off the. I want to do just a little more exploring before we make a recommendation, but I think this is the way we're heading.
Do they say how long they estimate before your return on investment for your 60% you're bringing in until you would pay things?
Well, and I don't know if this is something you want to answer, the way I understood it is we can set up a fee structure any way we want to with our subscriptions. So if we want to sell a single game for, I don't remember what the numbers were, it was about $8, which is about what a person would pay to come to the game, which seems to me logical. But of course, you could also figure you'd have the whole family sitting around the TV at the time. So it's cheaper if it's widely spread, but it's not the same thing as sitting in the gym or the football field or whatever. So we can do minimums of what they've asked, which is $8 for a single, $15
A month.
or $75 per season per sport. So take winter, for example, you couldn't pay $75 and see all the girls and the boys basketball games. It was one or the other. I mean, you couldn't do it all. So we were looking at those thinking, okay, those fees are logical. I don't know if they're right. We also talked, they've got an ad sales that you could do as people are watching it. There's a little corner in the bottom that would just flip through different ads of different people that might want to sponsor different things. It's another way to generate some money for it. Realistically, it's about not quite a $3,000 addition to what we're already paying for Huddle. So it's not a huge expense, but it is every year. But the technology and everything is included in that, and it's upgradable every time something comes out. It's already part of that subscription, and they just trade it out for you.
And I will say, I don't have a lot of personal experience with the Pixelot cameras, because we don't have them. From what I've heard, tech support is not the best. You know, the hours we need the cameras to work are not the hours people are in the office. But with Huddle, if I've ever had an issue personally with them, I typically have the rep's phone number, and I have John's number. I could shoot him a quick email, shoot him a text and say, hey, we're having this issue, can you fix it? Or, you know, if a lot of times we'll send that invoice that becomes a now and then, and it's not paid technically on time, they'll give us extensions. They're very willing to work with schools and help us out and make sure that we have what we need from them. And I have a feeling that just overall the support from Huddle is better than the support from the Pixelot cameras that NFHS uses. And he did mention earlier that if these were to get an upgrade or the lenses need upgraded or whatever, that's included in our package subscription, so that, you know, if next year, if we were to sign like a 3-year deal, but next year they come out with a better camera, we're gonna swap out, and that's not a charge for us.
What's the warranty on this?
It's whatever, like if it breaks down, they're gonna send me a new one.
It's basically
That's
running
for
their
the
equipment.
lifetime?
Yes, so, and as, like, if in 5 years down the road, we're still streaming, we still have these in the gym, then they have an upgrade or we have an issue, they will send us the new one.
That's software and hardware both?
Yeah, so, as far as I'm not the techie person, but it seems very simple to connect and install, so it wouldn't be a difficult thing. We just need Ethernet, right? Ethernet and an actual power
Yeah, you need.
source.
You need.
So it's not like, you know, like, I don't think it's rocket science to install it. I would not be able to do it myself, but
So what's the minimum commitment? 3 years? What would
it's a year, we can do a year.
a year? So if no one watches it, we're really don't have to
Not
do
out
it the next
much.
year.
Right?
Right, and so we've been talking amongst the conference for a couple months now, because this rep, John, he is over like our entire territory. I think he's the entire state, actually, and part of Indiana. He's been trying to get our whole conference on board. And right now, I think we're at like 6 or 7 of us have these already. And a couple of them have both the NFHS Pixelot camera and this one, and they like this one much, much better. It's more user-friendly from our standpoint, and it actually gives you options for the coaches. So even if we don't stream from it, there's no more iPad filming at games to where then we have to go in, plug the iPad in, let it download to the computer or whatever, and then download it to Huddle, and then do all that extra stuff. It's automatically sent. So then if we go to National Trail, who has it already, I believe, we don't have to take our iPad there either. It goes to both places already because it recognizes both of us schools on the schedule. So it's going to make the coaches' lives a lot easier in terms of, you know, you've got someone filming and they get to watching the game and miss, you know, turning the little iPad. This follows the ball itself, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
It's really cool technology.
It really is. I mean, and I've watched games through the NFHS, and it's pretty good. It's not great, but watching the clips that I've seen, you can pull them up on YouTube if you're interested. I think this follows the ball and they play a little bit better than the NFHS Pixelot cameras do. And I mean, we were talking about this, and I texted Mr. Hurst because I was trying to watch a tournament game on NFHS, and it just wasn't working. I was trying to watch girls basketball tournament games, and I paid to watch them, and then it didn't work.
So you get one camera, right?
You get one indoor and one
Or
outdoor.
you get one indoor and
Yeah.
outdoor, yeah, because I was wondering, you know, like in the fall, you get football.
Yep.
And you get volleyball inside.
Yeah, you get one indoor, one outdoor.
Okay.
You can always buy more if you wanted, and like an a la carte camera is like $3,000.
So we can only do the softball game or the baseball game, not both.
So they don't actually have a softball and baseball camera yet. So this is, and it's the bottom one that would be the outdoor one, the one that has a like hood cover over it. Yeah, that guy. That's the outdoor one. It's made for football or soccer or track. they're in the works of making one similar to these two to be mounted at baseball and softball. But right now they have this thing called the Flex that you can take out there. It's an additional purchase. It's not included with this package. Or they have the option of just hooking up an iPad to like the fence. But they are working. He said he hopes in the next like 2 to 3 years, if not sooner, they will have a similar one like this to be hooked up at baseball and softball. So then I'm sure the package would change then with that option to add. But that might be a couple years down the road still. But we still like, we could still film using the same computer in the backside technology, just not the fancy follows the game camera. It would still just be an iPad hooked up. But baseball and softball did get added this year. That was another recent thing with the like prior to baseball and softball was not an option in Huddle, and now it is. Any questions? I think that was my last slide.
It was.
Yeah. Any questions? That was a lot of
Thank you very
information I just threw at you. I'm sorry. Good. Thank you.
Next, E, I have nothing to report from Valley today.
All right.
Mr. Hurst, you're up.
I have a couple things I want to share. First of all, this is the picture I shared with everybody with our construction site at the last February school board meeting. Notice the lights still sitting on sawhorses. A lot of nothing going on just because the weather was acting crazy at that point and we were waiting on stuff to arrive. This is a picture from today. We have the electrician over here working on their stuff in the corner. And if you notice back here in the back, we have not only the girders or rafters or the scaffolding for the 800 plus seat home bleachers, but you see right behind it, the block press box going up as well. So I've got a couple different pictures here. Walked over there yesterday. These are the pictures I took yesterday. I didn't get out there. They left at 5 o'clock. I usually try to go out right after they leave. I didn't get there today. So I'm sorry, but these are yesterday's pictures. The block was about chest high yesterday and they had about a fourth of the girders done for the bleachers. But as of today, they had all of the girders up. They were working on the very north end with the steps. And then there's a handicap ramp that comes out between the steps and the actual bleachers themselves. So things are moving very quickly. The goalposts are here. The flagpole is supposed to be here tomorrow. There's a lot of other pieces that should be moving fairly quickly now. I'm hoping we get grass seed in soon. We've got the poles up around the track itself, the 4-foot fence. The fence itself isn't put on until later on, but they want to make sure the equipment could get in and out, that the poles themselves are all set. So, and of course, the big light poles, the 4 light poles that'll light up the field are up. So lots of changes. We're excited about that. Of course, all the electrical stuff is getting completed. But we're seeing lots and lots of changes. Real excited. A couple other things that we were talking about tonight. I was going to ask everybody's opinion of putting plaques inside the building for memorials. I'm going to talk with the administrative team over the next week and come up with kind of an idea for administrative guidelines on that and put something in writing so we can refer back to that in the future. But if you've got input, please let me know what you think about different things. And then the last thing I wanted to say was in the course of study that you were going to vote on later tonight, there was one course that we were going to add. Assuming everything goes correctly here, we're going to be hiring a new business teacher tonight, sitting here in our room. And he would like to add a class called Business in Sports. So it'll be a little bit different in the course of study, but thought this would be the ideal time to do that as opposed to modifying something after it was already adopted. So that being said, I am open for questions or done either way.
Good.
Okay.
Ms. Serber?
The only thing I want to talk about a little bit tonight is mostly this time of year trying to clean up and trying to get our grants aligned. Michelle and I have a desk review that's coming up for CLSD. Been working on trying to get some modifications to the Clean Bus grant. Just working generally through what we've got going on with the federal and state monies and the opportunities. And Tiffany in our office has been working towards getting some more monies for us. So we're working towards that end. The one thing that I did want to talk about tonight a little bit, and I'm going to make it very brief because we've had a lot of discussion, and I wanted to talk about House Bill 1, because a lot of you have probably heard about House Bill 1. And I'm only going to talk about the component that they were discussing about how it was going to affect taxpayers and the community. And I think one of the reasons why this may not come to fruition, there's some differences between the Senate and the House, but the House Bill 1, the way it was working, was going to do away with rollbacks and change the dynamics of how taxes have been done for as far back as I can remember, prior to 1976, where they take the value of a property and appraise it at 35%. They're going to drop it down to 31.5%. And they were going to do away with rollbacks, which if you look on your tax bill was $1 that you never paid. The state subsidized it. My reason for bringing it up, there's, as you can see, it's not a lot of relevance to us, but I think it's an introduction into the way the funding works and how different every school in the state is from each other. In our particular case, House Bill 1, this component of it wasn't a terribly large worry because our real estate's not a real driver in this community. It's just not a big percentage of our income. Whereas if you look at the document I've given you, if you look at our state foundation, we're funded to almost 70% of what they consider educating a child. So it is a real number that we have to worry about, and we are very dependent upon the state of Ohio. There's good and bad to that, and that's one reason why we've been exploring other avenues for funding, because when you're dependent on the state of Ohio, you're not into growth. You can't control it. You are the recipients of it. You don't have anything to say about it. If we can get some monies from other sources and garner it in and allow us to do things like working on the track and various things that we need in the school district, I think that is a way to change the demographics and to make this district some growth that maybe hasn't been had in the past. So that's our focus, and I thought House Bill 1 was a good introduction to that, to give you an idea that these numbers are different in every school district, and this particular district is very much a benefactor of the state. So, and that's really all I have to bring to you tonight. So with that, I'll close my report.
Thank you. Our next item is public participation. Anyone wanting to address the board? And our financial report from the treasurer.
And I will start with the superintendent recommending approval of all the consent items. That includes the financial journal, the check register, then and now certification of bills that were obligated by employees of the district, the list as per attached, the recommendation of transfers and advances for the month, and that begins with a general fund advance to 4999214 OFCC school safety grant in the amount of $100,000. Repayment of an advance from 4999122 OFCC school safety grant from 001 general fund. Transfer from 572-9223 Title 1 to 59222 Title 2A, the amount of 37009 in accordance with CCIP allocation. Repayment of advance from 4519223 telecommunications grant to the 001 general fund. Advance from 001 general fund to 5079121 ESSERS in the amount of $100,000. Repayment of advance from 5849223 Title 4A to the general fund. Recommend approval of permanent appropriation for the necessary amendment. Recommend acceptance of a donation from Daryl and Kathy Gamble in the amount of $50 to go towards school lunches. Recommend acceptance of a donation for Bradford Athletic Boosters in the amount of $124 to go to the class of 2024. Recommend acceptance of a donation from Shindig Travel Services Limited in the amount of $100 to go toward the Bryant Beyer Scholarship Fund. Recommend acceptance of a donation from the Covington Eagles $39.98 in the amount of $250 to go to the After the Prom. And number 10, in the amount of $1,000 to go toward the scholarship fund. Recommend acceptance of a donation from Bradford Fire and Rescue in the amount of $500 for a scholarship. Recommend acceptance of a donation from an anonymous donor in the amount of $250 for the Drama Club in the form of gift card. Recommend approval of an increase in the credit limit of Tractor Supply Company credit card for Skip Miller, Bradford Village from $100 to $1,500. Recommend approval of an increase in the credit limit of Business Platinum Visa card for $7,500. Recommend approval of a contract with Dinsmore and Scholl LLP for an engagement with respect to the filing of continuing disclosure material. Recommend applications for the following grants: the Ohio BWC Safety Intervention Grant for the purpose of an articulated boom lift, ODE Stronger Connection grants to support local student wellness in the amount of $73,7605, Ohio Attorney General School Safety Training Grant in the amount of $2,500, Ohio EPA Recycle Grant in the amount of $99.89 for the purpose of acquiring water bottle filling stations. And I will read this by title only. A resolution declaring that the Board of Education of the Bradford Exempted Village School District has reviewed the documents and information prepared by the Chief Fiscal Officer of the Board of Education for submission to the Budget Commission of Miami County, Ohio, in relation to the alternative tax document format filing provided under Section 5705.281 of the Ohio Revised Code and authorized by said commission for the fiscal year 2024, and that said body approves the same. And that concludes the motion.
And can I entertain a motion for that in a second, please?
So moved.
And a second? Second. Charlie, you have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I did not ask for anyone if they had any questions about that, but does anyone before we vote? No? Okay, all right. And our next item is our new business. We don't have any old business this evening, and it's items 1 through 16 on the consent calendar. Do you want to do that, Joe?
Sure. Resignations, employments, and job descriptions. Haley Lear is going to move to junior high math teacher. Sierra Bowen will be awarded her teacher contract for prorated the rest of the year. Teaching contracts are going to be awarded for a high school business teacher, Nick Banstra, who's with us this evening, along with fourth grade teacher, Brooke Fair, who also is with us this evening. Substitute teacher, Josh Seedling. Substitute contracts for classified personnel, Elizabeth Shaw and Carrie Sturwell, and supplementals for Sarah Timmerman, Brooke Fair, Corey Cannon, Rachel Myring, Nick Banstra, and Bailey Wysong as a volunteer softball coach. This is, if you noticed, high school varsity football. Nick has agreed to take that helm this year. So if everything goes well here, this motion. Approval of the course of study with that business and sports edition. Sandy France's contract per her request is going to be reduced from 260 to 250 days. Same thing with Tiffany Shively. We're going to purchase a 7-month growth mindsets program for our elementary students, hopefully out of the Miami County Foundation funds, but we don't know that yet. But that's something that has been approved in the past. If not, we will operate out of general fund for that. Meta Solutions, there's 2 motions on there, both number 6 and number 8. The first one for $15,000 is for our internet. The second one is for our software, student software, tracking, grades, attendance, those type of things. And then number 7, the one I switched over with, is for access points. I did make a change. It is not to increase anything. Number 6 is just to renew what we already have. Number 9, we have a student that we're going to try some music therapy with. So we've got a contract with Lindsay Ritchie Music Therapy Services for the remainder of the year. Number 10, we're going to do a revised contract with the Darke County ESC for additional services with an aid that we need on the van each day for a special needs student. Number 11, Monica Skinner has asked for 2 doc days. Number 12, baseball team wants to go to Dare Ballpark and play again this year. Number 13, Sarah Tillerman has finished up some classes, so we're going to repay her for tuition reimbursement for our negotiated agreement. Number 14, our contract with our website provider is up this year. We are going to switch to a company named Link. And all the specifics are there. Thanks to Bob Daugherty and his group for figuring out which one is better than what we've got now. Number 15, we've got a newly adopted calendar. We want to clarify the date of October 13th, which is the day we go on the pumpkin show parade. We want to say instead of early release at 1:10, we want to say students are going to be released after the 1:30 parade. That'll alleviate hopefully any confusion that's out there. And number 16, National Honor Society has been taking tickets for ball games under the direction of Bethany Espich. We're talking about supervision, but they're going to be reimbursed $150 to their organization for their help with doing that.
Can I have a motion for items 1 through 16, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and Scott? Any discussion, any questions? If not, roll call.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
Welcome to the district. I think Brooke's been here forever, but welcome to Bradford. Brooke's right at home. She's already got her baby duty and she's right at home. So welcome both of you to Bradford and hopefully it's a long journey for both of you.
Do you mind if I just say something? real quick?
Absolutely not. Go ahead.
So, when it came down to Nick and Trey was in on the interviews, we had 7 applicants for our head football position. And it just so happens that Nick teaches business as well. And Mrs. Moore retiring this year, it was a pretty good fit. But, Nick kind of rose to the top. He's got a lot of experience and a lot of passion and actual experience building a junior high program up into the high school. So I think he's going to be a great fit for the district, and I'm really excited for him and the district. He's already been meeting with coaches, most of them that have interviewed already with us. So he's all in. So he got his key and his email address and the whole 9 yards today. And so we're ready to get rolling, and we couldn't be happier. So it's going to be nice to have a head football coach in the building. And I will say, and I've told numerous people this, when he interviewed for the position, he asked for the business position, knowing that after his business interview, he was going to interview for the football position. He asked if he could see the building a little bit, and I took him to the weight room and I walked him out back so he could see, what was going on out there. He was like, well, can I see my classroom? So I brought him in here and saw his classroom. He goes, all right, I'd like to see the elementary now. So, well, you're a junior high school teacher. We want to see the elementary. He goes, well, they're all our students. He goes, I need to get to know the elementary students because at some point in time, they're going to come up and want to play junior high football and everything. So I just thought that was kind of a really, really neat thing. It says a lot about him in terms of, the buy-in that he could get from students and just his overall passion for not only education, but for, building this program back up to where it needs to be and where it's been in the past. So. Welcome, Nick.
Welcome.
Next item of business 17 is recommend approving Raymond Clark for a substitute bus driver position. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Holly, a second.
Second.
Trey. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brewer,
Abstain.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
And our next item of business is into executive session. And we will not be taking any action after executive session, so if you guys feel free to go, nothing.
We need a motion.
So
Can I have a motion? There you go.
Second.
Motion and a second roll call, please.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
At 7:35.
Thanks, sir.
The officer didn't read the handbook.
No.
Executive meeting.
No, didn't get that far.
Declare us out of executive session at 7:59. And then do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Right?
Second.
Scott, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker.
Yes.
Mr. Manuel.
Yes.
Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
8 o'clock.
Marie, you did a fine job this evening.
Thank you. I was president.